Bills Mafia, what's up? Before we dive deep into this emotional, raw, and absolutely critical breakdown of what Sean McDermott said after that devastating loss to Houston, I want to start with this. This team is searching every single day to get better, to sharpen the details, to clean up the mistakes, to put a product on the field that the city of Buffalo can be proud of. And the hunger inside that locker room is real. So before we jump in, do me that huge favor. Smash that like button, and if you love these insider-style videos, hit subscribe so you never miss our coverage, analysis, and the truth behind what's really happening with our Buffalo Bills. All right, let's talk about the game that left all of us stunned. The Buffalo Bills walked into a national spotlight matchup against the Houston Texans and walked out with a loss that felt heavier than the final score showed. Josh Allen was sacked 8 times, the most in his entire career, and Houston's #1 ranked defense had their way for most of the night. And even though the game felt like Buffalo was down by 60 at times, it still came down to a 4th down deep in Houston territory in the final moments. But after the loss, Sean McDermott didn't sugarcoat anything. He didn't dodge tough topics. He didn't hold back. He made it crystal clear. Something has to change, and it has to change now. After watching Allen take hit after hit, McDermott zeroed in on one theme: predictability. When Buffalo fails on 1st down, everything unravels, and he explained it perfectly. When you're not winning 1st down and you get into 2nd down and long, that's what becomes predictable. And then their D-line pins their ears back. That's where the hits come. This is exactly what Houston did. They dared Buffalo to operate behind the sticks. They forced the Bills into 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and obvious passing situations. And when that happens, edge rushers like Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter feast. And they did, all night long. Buffalo never put the Texans' defense on their heels. Instead, the offense fed them the exact situations they thrive on. And they did, all night long. McDermott didn't point fingers directly, but he didn't hide his frustration either. When asked about the offense, he acknowledged the issues plainly. That's the formula, the unhealthy formula I'm talking about. Josh takes too many hits. We've got to figure that piece out. And while he defended his staff overall, the message was unmistakable. Buffalo's offense was predictable, disjointed, and at times completely overwhelmed. And then we got to the moment. The confusing 4th down run to James Cook that went nowhere. A must-convert moment. A baffling call. And Allen admitted afterward that they probably should have called a timeout. When asked about the communication, McDermott didn't hide his disappointment. "I'm usually listening to Joe. I didn't hear that at that point. I'll talk to Josh and follow up." If you read between the lines, that is as close as McDermott will ever get to calling out his offensive coordinator publicly. Communication was off, preparation was off, situational awareness was off. And that's why Buffalo walked away empty-handed. McDermott gave Houston credit, and rightfully so. But he also pointed to what Bills fans have been seeing for weeks: self-inflicted wounds. Some costly penalties, the turnovers, we weren't playing enough complementary football. Buffalo turned it over 3 times, they lost field position battles, they committed penalties in critical moments. They played chaotic, not complementary. Despite everything, they still had a chance to win. But when you repeat the same mistakes week after week, the margin for error becomes razor thin. And this team is running out of time to fix what keeps holding them back. When losses sting this badly, you need leadership. And that leadership showed up immediately after the game, in the form of veteran safety Jordan Poyer, who delivered one of the most honest, powerful messages of the season. He stepped in front of the cameras and said exactly what Bills Mafia needed to hear. Absolutely. Still a lot of football left. A lot to grow from this game, as much as this loss stings. Poyer wasn't crushed. He wasn't defeated. He was focused. He talked about the mini-bye, the extended rest coming off a Thursday night game, as a chance to reset, regroup, and get healthy. And make no mistake, this team desperately needs it. This game wasn't just about sacks or miscommunication or penalties. It was about injuries, again. Buffalo saw multiple starters on both sides of the ball go down, including Josh Allen. Players were limping, grabbing arms, holding ribs, needing help to the sideline. And yet, they kept fighting. Poyer praised the next man up mentality. Thursday night games, short week, it's next man up. I thought guys that came in stepped up. He highlighted Shaq Lawson, Tre'Davious at corner, and others who were thrown into difficult situations against the #1 defense in the NFL. But even Poyer admitted it. Buffalo needed one more defensive play, one more turnover, a stolen possession, and they just couldn't get it. This loss hurts. It exposes problems that have gone unaddressed for too long. Poor first down execution, predictable play calling, communication breakdowns, missed opportunities, injuries piling up, Josh Allen absorbing way too many hits. Sean McDermott's message was unmistakable. Buffalo cannot keep asking Josh Allen to survive nights like this. Something must change, schematically, mentally, physically, or this season will keep slipping away. But here's the good news. This season is far from over. The AFC is still wide open, and the Bills now get a chance to rest, recover, and prepare for a massive matchup against Pittsburgh. If there was ever a moment for a reset, this is it. The Buffalo Bills fell 23-19 to the Houston Texans in a game that could very well define the rest of the 2025 season. And while Josh Allen is usually Superman for this franchise, even he wasn't immune to criticism. He threw 2 costly interceptions, including one on the final drive despite having an open receiver breaking toward the left sideline. His passer rating? 67.4, his lowest of the year. And unlike the Tampa Bay game on November 16th, he couldn't escape trouble with his legs. In fact, he lost 70 yards on sacks while only gaining 20 on the ground. But here's the real story. Buffalo's roster left him with absolutely no margin for error. That's the theme of the season. That's the truth fans are seeing week after week. And Thursday night put the entire problem on full display. One of the most alarming statistics of this season is Allen's 28 sacks, the 5th highest total in the league, and double what he took in 2024. People naturally blame the offensive line or Allen extending plays, but the deeper issue is obvious. This receiving core cannot consistently win matchups. There is nobody Allen can trust on a must-have down. There is nobody who scares defenses. And against the Texans' elite defense, that weakness became impossible to hide. With Dalton Kincaid out due to a hamstring injury, Allen was throwing to Khalil Shakir, Tyrell Shavers, still unproven, Joshua Palmer, injury-prone, and Gabe Davis, inconsistent. That's not an NFL playoff receiving group.
That's not a group you ask a franchise quarterback to carry. And it's certainly not a group you expect to outrun, outmuscle, or out-separate from Houston's defensive backs. The Bills simply never replaced Stephon Diggs. They drafted Keon Coleman to be that guy, and so far, he hasn't delivered. 886 yards in 22 games, followed by being a healthy scratch 2 weeks in a row, is not the production you expect from a second-round investment. So what does Buffalo do? Lean more heavily on James Cook. But you can't play from behind with a running back-centered offense. And against elite defenses like Houston, you can't survive without wideouts who can win. Meanwhile, the defense has taken a massive step backward. Remember when this team had a top-ranked unit in 2021? That feels like a lifetime ago. This season, they're 14th in points allowed, 30th in rushing defense. That's not playoff football. That's not championship football. That's a defense that can't stop the run, can't get off the field, and can't help Josh Allen the way they used to. Ed Oliver's injury hurts badly. But it's more than that. The defensive core that once carried this franchise is aging. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Matt Milano. All three have declined noticeably, and the Bills haven't found sustainable replacements. Yes, they drafted corner Maxwell Hairston in the first round, but he only has one start. Yes, they signed Joey Bosa, but he's a one-year rental, not a long-term solution. Meanwhile, look at Kansas City. They've stayed elite because they hit on their draft picks and nailed their free agent moves. Buffalo? Not so much. And it's showing. The biggest takeaway from the Texans' loss wasn't the picks or the sacks or the stalled drives, it was this. The Bills are expecting Josh Allen to perform miracles every single week, and that is not sustainable. He has bailed this team out so many times over the last 5 years that some fans forget how much he hides. But this year, the cracks are too wide. The holes are too deep. The roster is too thin. Yes, Allen is still Allen. Yes, he can beat anyone, anywhere, on any given Sunday. Yes, he's a future Hall of Famer. But even the great ones need help. And right now, Josh Allen is trying to win games with a below-average receiver room, a broken run defense, a roster full of injuries, predictable offensive situations, and no consistent vertical threat. No quarterback, not Mahomes, not Burrow, not Prime Brady, can consistently win under those conditions. And Thursday night proved it. Bills Mafia, I want your honest opinion. Do you believe Sean McDermott can fix this? Do you trust Joe Brady to adjust the offense? And what is the one change you think Buffalo must make right now to save this season? Drop your thoughts below. I read every single comment. And before you go, do me that big favor. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our exclusive Bills breakdowns, inside reporting, and real conversations about this team. We're in this together, Bills Mafia, and this season is far from finished. Go Bills!